Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and for this video, we're going to be going over 9 more cool and overpowered builds in Elden Ring. Most of these, once again, are build requests. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to start here with a low buff, strong build somebody requested that doesn't use any Ashes of War. So you really have 2 options here in total. The 2 options for you are going to be the Giant Crusher or Prelates. They're both really good. I like using charge attacks in this instance. Of course, it would go better with Royal Knight's Resolve, but the person requested that I didn't use any Ashes of War, and I only used my tier for this build. I don't really count that as a buff. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to, but I'm just running the tier and some seriously powerful charged attacks with Prelate's Inferno Crozier. In a second here, we're going to jump into equipment stats, everything you need to know for a powerful, low buff build that hits really hard too. That was a really fun clip with Gideon as well. We're on New Game Plus 3 Journey 4. Let's jump into equipment. And we have Prelate's Cold Inferno Crozier plus 25 preferably. Chilling Mist on it, but I'm not really using the Ash. I'm just using it for cold affinity here. We're using the Gravebird chest piece, Claw Talisman, Axe Talisman. We have the Two-Handed Sword Talisman, Arsenal Charms +1 or Great Jar's Arsenal if you have it, Spike Crack tier, Green Burst Crystal tier. And for stats, we have 60 Vigor, 13 Mind, 35 Endurance. We have 66 Strength, that's going to be 99 when you two-hand this, 20 Intelligence. The Faith is from the starting class, and we're not using any additional buffs. And next up on here, we have a build for the Great Stars that's Faith-based. It's got to be in Flame Art Affinity. We're using Flaming Strike, and this is another build request. This is a really cool one because I turned it into mainly charge attacks for the poise damage. On, of course, great hammers and everything, you're going to get an insane amount of poise damage. And then the fire damage we're getting, the versatility is a faith build. This is going to be one of those builds that just does a lot of poise damage, breaks bosses frequently, gives you breaks throughout the fight, and can do a ton of fire damage as well. Take some hits early here, but I end up playing the second half of this fight much better. I want to mention, by the way, if you have any build requests, be sure to comment them below. If you're looking forward to any builds in Elden Ring, definitely comment them below, especially with I'll call it a mini DLC coming up on December 3rd for Elden Ring Night Rain. I'm going to be switching to Night Rain for a couple of weeks. Going to cover that for a while. Really looking forward to that. It's going to change up stuff a little bit. So if you have any build requests before then, be sure to comment below. Yeah, I'm definitely going to cover that when it comes out for a little while. I'm looking forward to that. I enjoyed Night Rain for what it was. I still feel like there's just not enough to it. They definitely need to add more to it. We're getting a little bit of additional stuff in December, and then supposedly, I think more in March, which is pretty cool. So maybe that'll make it feel more like a complete game by then. Tarnished Edition also got delayed to sometime around March too. Also looking forward to that. But long story short, if you have any build requests, be sure to comment them below in this video for sure, because I may take a break when the Night Rain mini DLC comes out. We have the Flame Art, Great Stars plus 25, Flaming Strike, preferably plus 25. We're using the Giant Steel. You can check out the armor set here, 51 poise. We have the Blade of Mercy Talisman, Axe Talisman, Two-Handed Sword Talisman. We have the Fire Scorpion Charm. For our tiers, we got the Flame tier, Spike Crack tier. Let's jump into stats. And for stats on this really good build, we have 60 Vigor, 19 Mind, 27 Endurance, 19 Strength, 16 Dexterity, 70 Faith. We're using Golden Vow, Blessings of the Erd Tree, and I like Black Flame's Protection here. And next up, we have a really cool one. I did a build later in this video for the Beast Jaw. Decided because the same stats, you can run this to look at the Ruins Greatsword again and build around the Charge Hits and Ash of War as a combination build. I built around them separately before. This is one of those ones that's going to work really well for you, especially if you use the Raptor's Black Feathers or the Gravebird chest piece for the extra jump attack damage. And you can get a ton of poise damage, basically 2 charge hits and a jump attack. Probably if you're on New Game Plus 7, it might be 4 of those. But even so, you're going to be able to break bosses frequently with this, use the Ash of War for decent damage, and of course build around the high strength power that Ruin's Greatsword has. Keep in mind the Ash scales mainly with weapon level and not much else, much like the Beast Jaw we'll talk about in a bit, but it is a really fun and good weapon. We have the Ruin's Greatsword plus 10 preferably, any seal for buffs. We're using the Greybird's chest piece. We hit 53 poise here. Blade of Mercy Talisman. We have the Two-Handed Sword Talisman. Shard of Alexander. We have Arsenal Charms +1 or Great Jar's Arsenal if you have it. It's about 3% more for equipment load. Faith tier, Bloodsucking Crack tier. For stats, we have 55 Vigor, 20 Mind, 30 Endurance, 60 Strength. It's going to be 90 when you two-hand this, 25 Intelligence, 25 Faith. That's with the Faith tier, Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, and Blessing Spoon. Next up here, we're going to look at the Fallingstar Beast Jaw. This is a really cool one in terms of being able to get a decent amount of damage from a range. Problem with this weapon is you're going to get all of your poise damage from charge attacks and jump attacks. That's why I built it this specific way, where you can get a decent amount of damage that way. Because the Ash of War, they basically took the poise damage away from the Ash of War. It doesn't really do much anymore. Used to be able to break bosses with a few hits of this Ash of War. Gravity Bolt used to do a ton of poise damage. It doesn't really do much now in terms of that. It just kind of does a flat amount of damage. It's not bad in the sense that if you back up, you can get some serious range on it. And when you're using charged hits, you can get a good amount of poise damage with the weapon itself. But again, they did change a lot, much like Flame of the Red Mains got dropped in terms of poise damage. I guess because they didn't want us getting so much poise damage from any kind of range, they also got rid of the majority of poise damage on this Ash. Still, I don't rate this as a bad weapon. I would just state that it's pretty okay, and it works. You can make it work, no question about it. And once again, the Ash of War is going to scale mainly with weapon level and very minimally with anything else. Yeah, certain weapons are like that, where they're just going to get most of their damage from your weapon level. So once you hit plus 10 or plus 9, I have a lot of plus 9 weapons, you're going to get a good amount of damage from the Ash of War, regardless of what you have, as long as you have the stats for the weapon. Don't worry about too much in terms of really high intelligence, unless you're running a high-level, combination build with, I don't know, the Meteorite Staff and some of those spells and whatnot would be cool to add. But if you're at 150, don't worry about the intelligence scaling too much. Just get the minimum or whatever, and then go for strength, because you're going to want to get most of your damage from the weapon. Physical damage on the weapon's good. The poise damage on the weapon is good. Overall, I'd rate the weapon pretty good. The Ash of War, not so much anymore. Fallingstar Beast Jaw, plus 10 preferably. We have any seal for buffs. You can check out the armor set here, 56 poise for this one. We have the Blade of Mercy Talisman again, because we're going for a lot of charge hits. Two-handed Sword Talisman. We have the Shard of Alexander to boost Gravity Bolt. Arsenal Charms 1 or Great Charge Arsenal if you have it. Faith tier, Bloodsuck and Crack tier. We're using Sleeping Pots there for the Godskid duo. Let's jump into stats. And we have 55 Vigor, 20 Mind, 30 Endurance. Same stats as last build, 60 Strength. We have 25 Intelligence. We're going to have 25 Faith with the Faith tier, 15 Dexterity, Golden Vow, Flame Burnt Strength, Blessings Boon. And next up, we have a build for a single Antspur Rapier. I've covered these as a dual build, obviously, using two of them or using one and another Rapier. In this case, somebody wanted a build for an individual one, a single individual Antspur Rapier. And the best bet here is to run it in Blood Affinity. And then I love repeating thrust with this weapon, because you're going to get a lot of rot build up that way, a decent amount of that. But mainly, you're going to get a lot of bleed build up too. That's the big thing here. The rot does take a while. Whether you're using 2 or 1, it does take a decent amount of time with 50 innate rot on each of these. And on 1, of course, you're just getting the 50 innate rot. Now, they did reduce, when you're using 2, the amount of status effect buildup a long time ago. So when you use 2, you really only get a little bit more. But it does take a bit either way in terms of to build up the actual rot on it. And then, of course, taking away from the rot, going back to the bleed, that you can build up on quick. Now, once again, I mentioned this in my videos, you won't see Lord of Blood's Exaltation proc much with the Fire Giant, because if you're too far under or behind him, it just doesn't proc even if the bleed procs, because he's such a big target. But you will get several bleed procs using it this way, decent amount of physical damage too, and of course, some rot buildup. I suggest just going for repeating thrust as many times as you can. Get in that bleed build up. Try to go for chunk damage when you can if it's possible, and then continue to try to build up rot. I'm on New Game Plus 3 Journey 4. By the time you get to New Game Plus 7, it is going to be hard to proc the rot part of it. There are better ways of procking rot. Scarlet Arena, or however you say it, that incantation can do it faster. Of course, the new one, the Poison Flower Blooms Twice, can also do it faster. There's other ways of building up rot quicker than this, but you can build up rot with this if you're consistent with it. It really kind of depends on how you're building this, of course, because in this case, I think we're going to end up taking him down before he ends up with a rot proc, but we did get several bleed procs along the way. Once again, I figure since it's a longer clip, I'll mention one more time. If you have any build requests, be sure to comment them below. Don't forget to comment any build requests that you have. I'm going to do them for the next couple of weeks, and then again, might take a break when the Night Rain mini DLC in December comes out. We're going to get a couple additional characters, I think another Shifting Earth and some stuff. I think if you pre-ordered the Deluxe Edition, which is what I did, I think it comes with it, but I'm not 100% certain on that, hopefully. So there was a bleed proc at the end there. Just want to mention that. Really cool build here. Again, though, be sure to comment any build request. We have the Blood Antspur Rapier plus 25, preferably with repeating thrust. We're using the Dragon Communion Seal. We hit 51 poise for this build. We have Lord of Blood's Exaltation. You could run the White Mask as well. Melissan's Prosthesis, Shard of Alexander, Wingsword Insignia, or Rotten Wingsword Insignia is better if you have it. Thorny tier, Bloodsucking Crack tier. Let's jump into stats. And for stats, we have 55 Vigor, 20 Mind, 25 Endurance, 20 Strength, 35 Dexterity, 25 Faith. We have 45 Arcane. For our buffs, we're going to be using Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, and Blessing's Boon. And next up here, we have a build for the Ring Finger. This was another build request. A couple people requested this throughout probably a couple of my videos, and I finally got around to it. It's kind of a goofy weapon, but you can make it work. I get beat up at the beginning of this fight a little bit. Overall, though, the Ash of War does a decent amount of poise damage, and of course, because you have a hammer-type weapon, you can get poise damage with charge attacks, jump attacks, all that too. When you're two-handing it especially, regular hammers and great hammers are still one of the best ways to get poise breaks and posture breaks in Elden Ring. The Ash of War is totally goofy. It's not really necessary to run this weapon. You're going to have to probably be pretty decent at this game to run this weapon against some of the tougher bosses in the game. But the Ash of War is really fun to use as you get a pretty cool flick. And of course, you're going to get some poise breaks, as I mentioned there. There's a posture break right there, because the Hammer class is really good for that. And the Ash of War itself is decent for poise damage. Not really great in terms of the physical damage that you get from it. The weapon itself, it's another one that's just okay. You can make it work. You can make most weapons work in Elden Ring. That's just how it works in this game. There's a few that I don't like Vare's Bouquet. But aside from that, there's most of the weapons, I can honestly say, are going to work. You can build around them and make them work. They're going to be tougher against the tougher bosses, but of course they are manageable, especially this one because it's the Hammer class. So if you just want to go for regular hits, we got 2 poise breaks on the Magma Worm, who has decent posture. And of course, running that Ash of War in combination with charge, jump attacks, all that, you're going to get a lot of breaks, and that does make the weapon a little bit better, but still, it's an average weapon. It can be decent if you add some buffs and have some fun with it. We have the Ring Finger, plus 10 preferably. We are using any seal for buffs. You can check out the armor set here. We have 51 poise again for this build. Ritual Sword Talisman. We have the Shard of Alexander. I didn't stay at full health enough there, though. Two-handed Sword Talisman, Axe Talisman, Spike Crack tier, Faith tier. Let's jump into stats. And for stats on this build, we have 60 Vigor, 19 Mind, 26 Endurance, 66 Strength. That's going to be 99 when you two-hand this, 25 Dexterity, 25 Faith. We're using Golden Vow, Blessing's Boon, and Flame Grip and Strength. And next up here, we have an Executioner Cragblade build. I've done this build with 2 of the axes. Jump attacks don't do a ton of poise damage with this specific class, though. So we do get a break in here. The one thing I don't like, though, about the Great Axe class is the lack of poise damage. But with the critical multiplier that you get on the Executioner's Great Axe, this goes really well with Cragblade. You'll have around 900 AR of physical damage and a decent chance to posture break whatever boss or enemy you're facing. We have the Executioner's Heavy Great Axe plus 25, preferably with Cragblade. Any seal for buffs, you can check out the armor set here. We hit 51 poise. Blade of Mercy Talisman, Axe Talisman, Two-Handed Sword Talisman. We have the Dagger Talisman. For our tiers, we got the Faith tier, Spike Crack tier. Let's jump into stats for this build. For our stats, we have 60 Vigor, 18 Mind, 26 Endurance, 80 Strength, 12 Dexterity, 25 Faith. For our buffs, we're going to be using Golden Vow, Blessing's Boon, and Flame Grip Me Strength. Speaking of Cragblade, I wanted to do something different here, so I decided to do a Heavy Mantis Cragblade build. This is the longest reaching curved sword on your charge attacks, and it actually does a decent amount of poise damage. If you run this in heavy affinity, you'll get decent damage too. It's kind of a fun little build I threw in here that I was testing out because you get the extended reach on the charge attacks for the Mantis blade, and it's really fun to run this in heavy affinity just to kind of get those posture breaks and critical breaks and all that on a curved sword. Probably the best curved sword to run charge attacks on in the game, in my opinion, in terms of regular curved swords, because of that extended reach and because that it does pretty well on heavy affinity in terms of physical damage to jump into equipment. We have the Heavy Mantis Blade plus 25, preferably with Cragblade. We have any seal for buffs. That helm will give you plus 2 Faith. We don't really need it here, though. Ritual Swords Talisman, Blade of Mercy Talisman, Two-Handed Sword Talisman. We have the Axe Talisman. For our tiers, we got the Spike Crack tier, Faith tier. Let's jump into stats for this build. And we have 60 Vigor, 19 Mind, 26 Endurance, 66 Strength. It's going to be 99 when you two-hand this. Same stats as last build. 25 Dexterity, 27 Faith. For our buffs, we're going to be using, once again, Golden Vow, Blessing's Boon, and Flame Grip Me Strength. And the next one's the last one on here. Somebody wanted a individual Godskin peeler build. The one I like to run this the most with, the setup I meant to say that I like to run this the most with, is going to be in Lightning Affinity with Lightning Slash. You get a lot of AR this way, and you can build up on successive hits quite well. If you're not running it in Blood Affinity, of course. I think somebody wanted something different here, so I've done the individual one with Blood Affinity before. With Lightning Slash, though, you get a lot of damage. You're going to get a good amount of damage, and Lightning is a decent damage type for Elden Ring too, so it's not really bad by any means. Do get hit a few too many times in Phase 1. Once again, I have an easier time with Phase 2, as I always do, but overall, you're going to build up on successive hits, boost Lightning, and get a fairly decent amount of damage with a build like this one. Alright, now we're on to Phase 2. We're going to try to use Lightning Slash again here, try to build up on that buff, give us around 700 AR in total, and continue to use the advantage that the twin blades have when you're two-handing them and how quick you can get in hits. You can get in hits very quickly with regular twin blades when you're two-handing them. Of course, in this case, we're not going to be getting a strength bonus because we're running this as a dexterity build. One thing I like about the Gargoyle's twin blade is you get that two-handed bonus when you're two-handing this. But for this specific one, since it's the peeler and we're in Lightning Affinity, it's just dexterity, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Still, the two-handed moveset is fantastic, and you're going to get a decent amount of damage with a setup like this one. Now, of course, this is New Game Plus 3 Journey 4, and this fight is always a little bit challenging, but I think it only took me one try in total, so it wasn't really bad at all, and Phase 2 went pretty quickly. Overall, I like this build. I highly recommend it if you want to try something different for a twin blade that is not a bleed build, while still getting a good damage type, because Lightning is a pretty solid damage type for Elden Ring. We have the Lightning Godskin Peeler, plus 25 preferably, Lightning Slash. We're using any seal for buffs. Check out our armor set here. We have 54 poise. You could slow this down on YouTube side. Don't forget that. Melissa's Prosthesis, Wing Sword Insignia, or Rotten Wing Sword Insignia is better if you have it. Two-handed Sword Talisman, Lightning Scorpion Charm. For our tiers, we got the Lightning tier, Thorny tier. Let's jump into stats. And for stats, we have 60 Vigor, 18 Mind, 26 Endurance, 17 Strength, 70 Dexterity, 25 Faith. For our buffs, we're going to be using Golden Vow, Flame Gripping Strength, Blessing's Boon. I mentioned this before. We hit 54 poise too. Thanks for watching this one. Thanks for tuning in to my top 9 cool and OP builds in Elden Ring. These were pretty much all build requests. If you have any more, don't forget to comment below. I'm going to do them over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks or so, and then of course cover Elden Ring Night Rain again when that releases its mini DLC. I'm looking forward to that. I mention this every week, but I'm really looking forward to the Tarnished Edition 2. A little upset that that got pushed back to early next year, but can't wait for that. I will catch you guys in the next video. It's been really fun making these. Have a great day.